Hello and welcome back to Grow Roots. This is Shannon and welcome to my August 2024 front garden tour. Here we go. Okay, so there's some changes in the garden and some exciting things, and then some not so exciting things, as there always is in the dead heat of the summer. Just real quick, we've actually had a fairly mild summer, to be quite honest with you. We've only had maybe five, maybe a little more than that now, but less than 10 100-degree days, and that's definitely a stark difference from the last couple of years, where by this time we've had 37 to 42 100-degree plus days. So last year was so hot, but this year is not as bad. It is hot. It is early in the morning right now because this is the only time of day that I can get out here and my phone can actually record without telling me that it's too hot. And yes, I do record all of my videos with my phone. I love it that way, but it does get hot and I do have to stop sometimes, especially in the summer. So that's why I'm doing it early in the morning, plus the lighting is the best. And anyway, I do think that my garden is doing much better this year than at this time last year. But some things are still struggling. So here we go. I'm going to start off with the biggest difference in my front garden, that if you've watched my other tours, you will see that my Limelight Standard is in a different spot. And I've actually plopped him right in my front garden, whereas the Limelight Standard used to be right over here in this space. That's why you see kind of an empty space right there, because it was going into that sunshine ligustrum, but it was right there. And it is so big this year. This is its first year to show its actual shape for me. I think this is its third or fourth growing season, and I've been training it on my own to be a Limelight Standard instead of buying a Limelight Standard. And I decided we couldn't even walk on our walkway, so it is now kind of here. And I did not plant it purposely because, number one, I'm not going to plant something like this that I've been working years to train. I'm not going to plant something like that into the ground in the dead heat of summer when it's 105 degrees outside. That's just not smart. So it's in a pot for now. Plus, I'm not exactly sure that I'm going to keep it there. I do like it. I think it balances things out really well when you look at my garden as a whole. I've got a Vitex tree right here. I've got my bird bath, and then I've got my Limelight Standard. My little goose is so cute there, and then I have a 3-tier planter on that side, kind of anchoring everything in. I do think it looks quite nice. I just don't know for sure that it will be able to take the full sun in this location. Already I can see, well, this is an older bloom, so I expect it to get like this in 105-degree heat. You can see it's getting spent. It's also wet. But this is a brand new bloom, like brand new, and it's already getting kind of scorched with that full sun of 100-degree like plus heat, and so is that one. So it was kind of more a little part sun in that location right there. Yeah, I mean, we shall see. And if not, then I may move it to my backyard. I just don't have enough room for it out here in a part sun location, I don't think. So there it is going to stay, at least for this summer, because I do think we're going to have a couple more weeks of 100-degree temps, and then we may start cooling down. So that's exciting, and I look forward to that. So that's the biggest change here. I'll talk about this probably more on the container garden tour, or it may not even be here for the container garden tour. I don't know. But this is one of my only petunias to survive this summer. This is Super Petunia Bubblegum. And yeah, I mean, if you look in real close, it struggles. It gets fertilized about every week and a half to 2 weeks. So that's not the problem. I cut it back. It actually was a lot more woolly than this, so I just recently cut it back. I would say by about not even a third. And so I've done all of the things that you're supposed to do with petunias in the heat of the summer. It's just that I truly believe they don't love like 100-degree plus heat. Once it's over 100 degrees, they kind of start turning brown like this. And like especially towards the center, it's difficult for them. But it did bounce back. We had, oh my goodness, we had it was kind of the last week of July was like a huge cold front for this entire like area, not just North Texas, because we actually went on vacation to Branson, Missouri. But even in Branson, Missouri, it was much, much cooler than it normally is even over there. So when we came back, this guy was green and it was happy. And then the 100-degree plus temperatures kicked in again, and it's like, okay, never mind. I don't really like that so much, but it is still blooming. It is still beautiful, and I love it. What you see over here, I'm kind of loving. This is new for this area. This is like my May night salvia. This is actually only 3 May night salvia plants. It's 1, 2, 3, and then there's one on the other side. Honestly, it doesn't do as well, but I transplanted them. They used to be over there, and they were just way too low growing to be right in front of the sunshine ligustrum like that. So I transplanted them last year, and I really do kind of love this like pretty little swoop. It's still blooming, like it's continuing to bloom, honestly, up until really, really tall stalks. So that's really fun. The only problem is I also had lemon coral sedum. Actually, it wasn't lemon coral sedum. It was lemon ball sedum. I had it planted, and it kind of, there was one right here, and it swooped over it and killed it. But actually, no, didn't kill it. It killed the roots. So I popped them into this pot right there. So that actually should take off. They take off like crazy when they actually have room. So I've still got one plant there, and I have some dianthus that's actually reblooming there, which is super fun. And then something else that's not currently in bloom right now, but I do have it. It is sparkling amethyst superbena, and you can see it right there. It kind of blends in really well with the May night salvia, but when it is in bloom, you can definitely tell the difference between the blooms. And it's creeping all the way over here, so I love that. And it actually might be perennial for us, so we'll see how that goes. We're gonna come along front here, and I have this row of Dusty Miller that I really do love. Not all of them have survived. I think you can see one of them has died there, and one of them has died there. That's actually it, honestly. So that's not bad. But I've had these since last October, and they were champs during the winter time. I had Matrix Beacon pansies that were planted all in front of them, and oh my goodness, that was my favorite like winter display ever. It was so beautiful. But obviously the pansies are done. They can't take this heat, but the Dusty Miller sure can. The Dusty Miller can take the winter and still go strong, and it can take the summer. I mean, it's not loving life. You can see down inside. It's not like loving things. And there's the little yellow blooms. Some people like them, some people don't. I don't care for them. I really just want this plant for the contrast of the foliage. So I take the blooms off when I see them. But I do love them there, and it gives a nice contrast to whatever I have planted in front. So to start this season off, I actually had Supertunia jazzberries mixed with a beautiful purplish, pinkish, bluish verbena, and they couldn't take it. Quite a few of the jazzberries actually transpired. They're done, and I think the verbena would have done okay, but I'm going to show you what all of my verbena is doing right now. It's not beautiful. So I pulled that up, and these what you see in its place, these are Dreamland series zinnias. And then I also have some vinca. This is a raspberry, what is it? Tattoo raspberry. It's a really pretty vinca, but I don't know why The vincas are just not doing well right here. I'm not sure what's going on. I do think I have a mole tunnel underneath here, and I think that's possibly what was taking the jazzberry as well. And I had another vinca that died over here. Vinca is normally a rock star. I normally have no problems with vinca. I'm not exactly sure what's going on there, but it's potentially a mole issue. So oh my goodness, we cannot get rid of them. So, but anyway, I've got the vinca, and then this is a zinnia that's getting ready to bloom like crazy. It did already have a bloom that I cut off to encourage more. And then the Maynite salvia is still going around that. It's just a rock star. But I will say, this is the first time I have grown the Dreamland series zinnias, and I probably allowed them to get too leggy as seedlings at the start, which I actually really did pinch off the first set of blooms of these seedlings, thinking that I did my due diligence of pinching off, but I didn't pinch off at like the third set of leaves like you're supposed to. So that's what I think the issue was. That's why they're taller than they're supposed to be. These are supposed to be really compact. But nonetheless, the flower heads themselves, for being a very compact growing zinnia, the flower heads are huge, you can see, and they're beautiful and they're vibrant. And this is just the mix of colors that I have. So, oh, that orange or red one is absolutely beautiful. So these are getting ready to really show off. And then I have more vinca there. That one's doing great, see? And then another one of these. Oh, so cute. And yeah, it's just kind of, this is one that's flopping. It's flopping into, and look, I don't know about this one, but it is still super beautiful. And then I have this bare area here. The vinca was here, and I think a couple of the seedlings were here. And it's just, I think that's where the mole tunnel is, to be honest. We can't get anything to grow right there. And that's also where my first jazzberry died. So there's something with that spot that is not good. And then I have more seedlings over here. They are struggling a little bit because this is more shaded because, well, number one, my balloon flower, I'm going to show you that in a second, is coming up and kind of shading them. And then I have my vitex tree that is trying to come this way into the garden and kind of shading more than I would like. So that branch, in January, February next year, that branch is coming off. I don't want it coming this far into the garden. Okay, so moving on to things that are planted back here. I have another Maynite salvia there, not really blooming. I have a daylily there that, oh, it was blooming yesterday. I have a Sweet William. That's kind of what you see that's dead right there. It's not really dead, to be honest. It's still somewhat alive, but you know, they don't do well in the heat. So that was blooming in early spring, and it was marvelous, magnificent. It was so pretty. Here, this is new for this year. It is Salvia Greggii. Salvias are just the best plants for the heat that Texas delivers, really, truly. And I stepped up my salvia game last year, or this year, I should say. Like before, I think Maynite salvia was my only salvia. And then now I've added quite a bit. I did Salvia Greggii. There are two of them right here. There's also, I added Salvia Hot Trumpets, and the one that was over here is not there anymore. They're not as vigorous or big, grow, or like large as a Salvia Greggii or the Maynite salvia, but there is a Salvia Hot Trumpet over here. I'll show you when I get over there. And so Salvia Greggii is doing great, but I don't know that I love Salvia Greggii. I don't know that I'm going to keep it. Like that exhibit A is right there. Like it's grown so big now that it's got a big old hole. I don't like plants like that. I took out mums because of that, and I know with mums you're supposed to trim them up no matter what I did. They were getting tall like that and flopping over. And I just don't love that with plants. I mean, I love the color that the Salvia Greggii gives, but it is a different type of bloom that I'm not a huge fan of with salvia. now that I've grown it, I don't know. I'm undecided, but it is beautiful there for right now. I have another daylily back here. I forget the name of it, but it is a red daylily. It is out of bloom now. And then, like I said, another Salvia Gregi is there. It is not quite as big and floppy, so I do like that better. But this plant is staying forever, or as long as I can, and I do need to go in and trim this up. I had a couple of blooms on this guy, but I don't have any right now. All you see is this, but this is balloon flower, and I never knew that balloon flower could get this big, but at one time this thing was covered with purple balloon flowers, and it was beautiful. I'm gonna go now that it's out of bloom, I'm gonna cut that completely back. I actually might, I'm gonna wait for these seed heads to mature, to be honest, since it's out of bloom. Is that a spider? Yes, that's a spider. Blah. Or no, it's one of those leaf-footed nymphs. Ew, I do not like those, but I do not like killing them with my bare hands, so you are gonna stay for now. But anyway, I'm gonna let these go to seed so that I can collect seed on them, and then I will go ahead and cut this all the way down. And then here is that Salvia hot trumpet. It's this mint looking thing that's right here. I do not love this plant at all. It's floppy. It doesn't do, no, don't love it. But anyway, it's just barely hanging on. Moving on to this part of the garden, I do have more Mayonite salvia over here, but I may end up taking that out and transplanting it somewhere else. My husband had an idea to put another hydrangea under here. It's not a huge space, so I really need to find like a really compact hydrangea macrophylla, not the panicle hydrangeas, because that's too much shade for them. But this really is a shady spot. The Mayonite salvia does not bloom super well there, but I would like another hydrangea there. That would be really, really awesome. I just think I need a more compact one than, say, that one, which we'll get to in just a moment. But yeah, I mean, the Mayonite salvia is a good ground cover in the shade at least. So let's come back around. This Vitex tree, wow, this is its third or fourth season. It's huge this year, just absolutely huge. This is its second set of blooms. It's just absolutely beautiful. The bees love it, pollinators love it. I've seen monarchs on this plant, but not this year. I think I'll see them later on in the season when they migrate back, but the Vitex is beautiful. And here is our garden sheep. We call him Lambo. And then I have a variety of just different types of ground cover here, and I'm loving it. This was okay, so new for last year. I decided this was all dirt. I couldn't get anything to grow under there, not realizing, like, you know, that, well, it's shade under here. You can't get annuals, like sun-loving annuals, to grow under there. You know, you have to plant the right things. And once I discovered that, then of course a whole new world of things opened up. And I have Burgundy Glow Ajuga that's right here, and then all of this that you see filling in all of the other spaces, that is Vinca Major. It's variegated. And just a really quick word on that: don't plant variegated Vinca Major if you don't want it to take over. If you want it to take over, then go for it. But I've been able to keep it out of the Burgundy Glow Ajuga. It's tried a couple times. I've moved it out, and it's not like overpressuring or anything, you know what I mean? It's going all the other areas that it can, and I just really love it. Honestly, it's a beautiful ground cover. Let's move in and look at this hydrangea. I do have some new blooms, and some of them are even a little bit blue, which tells me that the soil is still somewhat acidic in certain areas. And oh, it's just glorious. And then all of these that you see, those are all of the old blooms, the first round of blooms that came in the springtime, which was the biggest round of hydrangea macrophylla blooms I've ever gotten. And I think it was due to our mild winter. We had one fairly extreme cold snap for like 5 days. The rest of the winter was very mild, and the hydrangeas loved that. So that is our blooms for the spring, and I'm keeping them on the plant. I am not deadheading at this time, although you could, but the reason I am keeping them on the plant is because these guys, if they don't get too brown, like this bottom part, that's never going to change color now because it's kind of brown and done. But this top part is going to continue. You can see it's already pink. And this one too, this one's beautiful. Oh, that one too. I love it when they turn this pink color, and this pink color is just going to get deeper and deeper and deeper and more pink over the bloom instead of green. And that's going to become magenta in the fall. And so I leave my blooms on all season if I can, because I really do like to see those magenta blooms in the fall. And then here's another newer bloom. So yeah, this is Endless Summer Hydrangea. This is, gosh, I don't know, it's 5 or 6 years old, maybe even 7 at this point. It's huge. At one point it had like well, yeah, it's about 4 feet tall. No doubt. It is 4 feet tall, probably almost 4 feet wide, 3.5, 4 feet wide. It's a beautiful location there. It loves this location for sure. What was I going to show you? Oh yes, there's a brand new bloom. So it is endless summer, right? Endless summer of blooms. It's continuing to bloom for me. And then I have that ground cover, the vinca, coming in underneath it, which is beautiful. So coming back around, what I did not talk about is the hedge of shrubs that you see right behind here. And that is Sunshine Ligustrum. I've raved about this plant, so I won't talk too much about it on this tour, but it is the best shrub ever if you live in Texas, in my opinion. It just provides a year-round color, year-round interest. It stays this way in the wintertime. It does require some pruning throughout the season. It does like to grow vigorously, especially in the sun. What I think is really funny is this part is more shaded. It will survive in part shade, but it's a different color. So you see it, you just get more like a green and a lime there. And then as it gets more sun, it it turns like a bright yellow over there. It's just an awesome shrub. I really do love it. It like I said, it stays evergreen in the wintertime. Sometimes it can get snapped by cold, and what I mean by that is it can defoliate a little bit, especially toward the bottom in like winter, but it comes right back in the springtime. So there you go. Let's see. I think I'll take this time to talk about my vines. So this year I called it the Year of the Vine. And here is my first set of vines. What I did with this is I had a container right here, and I planted Blue Picotee, Morning Glory, and Black-Eyed Susan vine. So both of those are growing. The Black-Eyed Susan definitely did the best, especially on this side. But this container didn't get watered enough when I was gone, and so you could see like some of that Black-Eyed Susan didn't, it's yellowing and stuff. But the top growth is great, and it's kind of growing that way. And then I have another one over here, and same thing, Black-Eyed Susan vine, Blue Picotee Morning Glory, and that is growing up this way. And this little thing that's hanging was over here, but it keeps falling down, and I'm short. I have to get a ladder to get that up, and even then I'm on my tippy toes on a ladder, and oh, it's a hot mess. So I've kind of given up. But guys, the Blue Picotee Morning Glory is showing off. Look at this. It's spectacular. It is so beautiful. This is why I got this plant. I got the seeds off of Amazon, and wow, the flowers do not disappoint. Now, they only last about a day, I think, and then they're spent. But that, and let me also show you right up here, that guy is blooming as well. It's just so beautiful. I love this look coming out my door. I know you can't see the color like I can because of the lighting, but just to come out my front door and see those flowers that are just hanging there to greet everybody. It's just absolutely beautiful. And the black-eyed Susan vine, it has flowered, but I can count like less than 10 flowers for the entire season for the black-eyed Susan vine so far. So a little bit disappointed with the flowering of that. Maybe I'll get more when it's cooler, because I did notice that like we had some blooms on it before we left for vacation, and that week of vacation I think we had some blooms because it was cooler, so I think that might be it. But so that brings me to this 3-tier planter. Obviously the vines are behind that, and then so last year I had mums that were planted here. I took those out and I decided to plant variegated liriope. And the liriope is struggling just a little tiny bit in the heat. It's its first season. I think that might be what it is. It has plenty of water, but this one is starting to bloom. These get really pretty purple blooms in late summer, like early fall. So I'm excited about those. I really like the look that that gives around the 3-tier planter. And then coming up, this did not come into fruition the way I wanted it to. Again, I struggle with this 3-tier planter, and one of the reasons I think is because of the cocoa liners and the heat. Every time the heat kicks in, this planter struggles more than any other planter does. But at the bottom here, this is my Superbena Peachy Keen. I have 2 of them. I also had Super Bells Yellow in there. They died a long time ago. But this is what my verbena is doing in the heat. It just doesn't love it. I pruned this guy back pretty well. Oh, there's those vines, that wild vines that keep coming in. This is a vinca flower, so don't pay attention to that. It's trying to bloom, it's forming buds, and then maybe 1 or 2 petals will come out, and that's it. So if y'all know why the Superbena is doing that, all of my Superbenas are kind of doing that, except one, and I'll show it to you. But yeah, it's just I don't know. My verbena, and now this is, I have all Superbenas, but they're not doing great. And then here, this was, what did I put here? Was it, I put Supertunias here. I don't remember, was it Supertunia persimmon again? Did I try it again? Oh my goodness. I am blanking on which Supertunia I put there, but it is also gone. So I put Vinca in its place, which the Vinca is doing fabulous. You get all that stuff out of it. I also put Biden's back there, if you're wondering what that is. I got Biden's for free when I went to DNL Farm and Home, and even the Biden's, like this one's doing okay, but that one's dead. So I just plopped them in somewhere to see if I could get them going. And then this top part was also Superbena Peachy Keen. It looked really bad, so I took it out. However, I put them in pots. I will put a picture up on the screen because I am going to try to keep them alive, the Superbena, because it is perennial for us. I'll plant them somewhere else in the landscape. They just don't like it right here at the top tier of this with a cocoa liner. They do not like that. They were very well rooted, great root system. So I kept them, I put them in pots. I'm going to put them in a part sun location and try to keep them alive, and then plant them somewhere in the fall. And then what you see here is my annuals that I got to replace it. So this is Blew My Mind Evolvulus. It is not currently blooming. I don't know, this was not labeled, but it is beautiful. I kind of just love this like white flower wispiness of it, and then the colors of those leaves are so pretty, but I don't know what it is. It's almost like a diamond frost euphorbia, but it's not in a Proven Winners container or anything like that. So not sure what that is. And then this is a Penta. And if you notice, I actually did not plant these. I just plopped them in there. I'm gonna stay like this for a little while. Like, you can't really tell. I am gonna fill this up with a little bit more soil so that at least the soil is to the level of the pots. But I don't want them to get super stressed in this 105-degree heat that we're having right now. So they're just gonna, I mean, they've been in my back flower bed getting watered in the sun. So they're surviving that, this would be no different. So it's kind of the same as planting it, just not taking out of the pot because I'm afraid of transplant shock right now. So anyway, that's what's going on there. And then I have a row of Baby Gem boxwoods, and they are getting really, really, really big, actually. And I want to trim them, but it's not the time. So I'm going to do spheres this time. I did kind of like cones last year, but I think I'm going to do spheres this time, and let's see how that goes. But that will have to wait probably until fall. I'm going to look that up, the right time to do that, because I think it's coming up fairly soon. I think it's supposed to be early fall that we're supposed to do that. So there you go. And then I just wanted to give you guys a really quick peek of the containers that are on my porch. I do have a separate container garden tour that I'm going to do, so I'm not going to go into detail, but I really, really feel like I just can't do my front garden tour without showing you guys these, because I feel like they're part of my front garden in every way. You can see it from the street. You can see it walking up to my house. This is one of the important statements, most important statements in my front yard, in my opinion, at the moment. So I just wanted to talk about these really, really quick. This is what I call my Big Daddy hydrangea. It is not a Big Daddy because there is one that's called that. It is an endless summer hydrangea. I feel like I was calling this guy Big Daddy before I even knew there was a Big Daddy hydrangea. But anyway, look at it. It probably has 50 plus blooms on it, and this is all from the springtime. This one actually has not continued to bloom for me, but that's okay because it was just full of blooms and so beautiful in the early and mid spring. And I'm keeping those blooms on because I want to see them continue to change color, and I think they're beautiful still. And then I have this guy who is a variegated lace cap hydrangea. Absolutely beautiful. I have not seen it flower yet. I hope someday it will, but even if it doesn't, this plant is just absolutely stunning for the foliage alone. I love the shapes of the leaves. I love the colors of the leaves. This just, it makes my heart happy. It's such a beautiful plant. I love it so much. I would love it even more if I could see it flower though. But alas, I mean, this is only its third growing season, and it's just as big, I think almost as big as the Big Daddy. Now they're kind of growing into each other. They are two separate pots, I promise. Let's see. Yeah, see, you can see they're two separate pots, but they're just growing into each other. I love it. It's just one of my favorite parts of my garden. And again, just stay tuned. A container garden tour will be coming up with all of these things. The other containers that I can't not include in my front garden tour because they are a part of my front garden, literally, are these two containers right here. I call these my curbside containers, and I feel like it's dark right now still. It's harder to see, but here's the light is so much better here. Wow, this is this container started out with they're the same, they're planted up the same, a tiny little mystic blue spires salvia, and then I had like 4 different supertunias planted all around it at the base, and I wanted to see which supertunia did the best. Well, all of them have died. Supertunia bubblegum, supertunia lovey-dovey, supertunia, was it fuchsia? I don't know. And then supertunia, not Bordeaux, Priscilla, supertunia Priscilla. All of them are dead in both of them, both containers. And now the only thing that stands is the mystic blue spire salvia, which is totally fine because look, wow, it's incredible. And then I'm going to try and get up close. The bees, wow, and they don't like me. They don't like me coming near them too much. They don't like me getting too super close. But you guys, this thing is covered in bees 100% of the daytime hours. Seriously. I have tried to come in and deadhead some of them. But if you can see the growing habit, like this one, for instance, these salvia blooms, they just keep growing. Honestly, they keep growing and blooming at the tip. And so some of them are curly and super long, like you could tell. Actually, this one needs to be deadheaded. The bees don't really let me get in here. I'm going to be honest. They do kind of attack a little bit. I've not been stung yet, but they like dive bomb me when I get in there to deadhead. So I'm like, all right, y'all can have this plant. I'm not trying to take it away from you, really. And then I have new blooms coming up. Can you see those right there? All over the plant. So Mystic Blue Spire Salvia is now my absolute favorite salvia to grow in North Texas. Rock star of a plant. I have 3 of them. So I have one here. I have one here. I'll show you this one real quick. And yeah, I need to come and deadhead some of these guys. And I was able to find a time last night where this guy did not have too many on it. So I did deadhead a lot more on this. But the more you deadhead, the more new blooms will come. Look at that. It's just, oh, it's so beautiful. And actually this container, let me show you. I did put a sparkling amethyst because I found them for $5 at Walmart. And so I threw one here and one in my front garden that is not blooming that I showed you earlier. But this guy's doing really well. And this guy gets like after a little bit of dappled morning sun, but afternoon, like blaring afternoon, evening sun. And yeah, I mean, it's beautiful. Look at that. There's a beetle either sleeping on it or dead on it. I'm not sure which. But the color of the sparkling amethyst verbena is quite beautiful. A bee just bombed me. Okay. Oh my gosh, look at this. Okay. Woo, he got me again. Okay, don't. Okay, sorry about that. I just want to get this view. Wow. So pretty. Okay. Okay, so let me show you one last view of the garden from the street, because this is the view that really I kind of dreamed this up. Things didn't go exactly as I had planned this growing season, but some things have, like the vine. That dream has come true. It's just absolutely beautiful. I love just this picture right here of the garden in August. And again, if you're curious about my grass, this is Palisades zoysia. My husband takes care of the grass part of everything. He's actually getting ready to mow right now, but he does a fantastic job as well. And our grass is just super stunning. So I just want to thank you all for joining me today on my August 2024 front garden tour. Please subscribe if you liked what you saw. I do these tours every single month, no matter what month it is, because I like to document them for myself. I'm here in North Texas, Zone 8A, Zone 8B, and I would love for you to follow me. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.